Right, okay, doke then. So, Brad, how does
Hello.
it feel to be in Middlesbrough?
Yeah, amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
First time up, you said, didn't you?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Scenic part of the world.
Beautiful.
Such a good liar.
So, for those of you who are not in the room, we're joined by Brad Houldsworth from Remarkable.
Good to be here.
Good to be here. Thank you very much for coming down, as I say, making the journey.
No problem.
I suppose what we want to do first and foremost is obviously understand a little bit about yourself, understand a little bit more about Remarkable, and take it from there and see where the conversation spins off to, which is normally a bit of chaos. So
Lovely.
That should be fun.
Lovely.
So,
Sounds good.
Brad, tell me about yourself. How long have you been in e-commerce?
Okay, good question. Probably about 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
It's rivaling you there,
A little
Dave.
bit old. Yeah, 10 years, 10 to 15 years. So I started at a creative agency. So I moved to Manchester and went to uni, dropped out of uni and fell into a creative agency. So they were like a branding, marketing kind of firm. So I was doing a kind of account management, project management, learn all about kind of traditional marketing. So a lot of offline stuff, a lot of, like I say, branding and design work. So learned, Photoshop and kind of creative stuff. And then started falling in love with more digital channels. So SEO and PPC. So this was back in like 2008 probably ish, 2009. And then from there, I started working with they are quite decent sized clients. So like MTV, New Balance, Ministry of Sound, Manchester City Football Club. So some decent brands. So that was a really good experience, kind of my step into the industry. And then from there, I moved to Nottingham and joined Remarkable. This was 2013, I think, 14. And I spearheaded a marketing team there. So we were, at the time, a really small agency with some really good clients, but we wanted to create a digital marketing service to our clients. So I started there and built that up. So it took a few years, and we had about 7 or 8-ish kind of marketing people, and we were just SEO kind of specialists, really. So we did other channels as well, but mostly SEO. And we were offering that to existing clients at Remarkable, but also any other kind of clients, even if they didn't have a platform, even if they didn't have a website with us. So that was really fun. Like I said, really specialised. So I kind of went too deep almost and thought, hang on a minute, I don't want to kind of become too specialist.
Yeah.
And I decided that I wanted to get some client side experience.
Got you.
So then I thought I need to join a retailer and get some hands-on, get my hands dirty. So I found a education supplies company, which was really interesting because my wife's a teacher and a lot of my family are in education, so I felt like a good fit. So I joined there, head of e-commerce, and led a team of kind of merchandisers, marketers, trading people. It was a brilliant team, really brilliant people, really clever people. And that was really fun. Learned all about using third parties, learned how to kind of have a go at agencies. Sitting on the other side of the table was really fun because you kind of, as an agency, you kind of sometimes feel a little bit, or as a provider, sometimes you feel a little bit.
You know more
Tricky.
about this than me, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I've done a similar sort of thing.
Yeah, it's hard. So when you're on the client side, you can kind of have fun.
Yeah.
And really kind of push. But also I learned a lot. I learned like how to really push an agency. I learned how to push and get results, and how to, also manage people. Like, although I'd managed people in the past, like at TTS, I was really kind of learning how to be a leader almost, kind of, and how to write strategy and how to kind of analyze things, and it just kind of, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. So I was there for about, I think, just under a year, something like that. Also, from like a platform point of view, we were with Salesforce, so I got to learn about Demandware at the time, and then Commerce Cloud. And learned like that landscape much more. So I kind of, I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And then I got serenaded back to Remarkable, which, happens. And then, so this was then 2016, maybe, no. About 2016, 2017, something like that. Joined, Remarkable, and then kind of became this head of strategy. So since then, I kind of now focus on not the kind of marketing services elements anymore, more kind of strategic support. So, which is really fun, which I love. No 2 days are the same. It's kind of really interesting work. I work with clients on their kind of strategy, but also I work on the product side. So how does the platform work? What features and functions are we developing? And then also from a kind of product marketing point of view, how are we positioning ourselves?
Yeah.
How are we talking to people like yourselves? So yeah, a very kind of strategic role, but it's really fun and really varied. And because we have a kind of quite a nice array of clients in different verticals, it's nice to kind of learn and kind of share between them all. So I like talking to clients, and I like kind of giving them advice and giving them support and advice. So yeah.
Well, I suppose going into the sort of the next question, really, from my perspective, is obviously we've spoken quite a bit. You obviously know Tim, but for the people that don't or are not aware, is like what is just a bit more about Remarkable in general. So we know how you've got there, but like a bit more around Remarkable as a business.
Sure. Okay, so Remarkable started in 1999. We are a e-commerce agency with our own platform, basically. I like to describe us as an agency because we are such kind of service led. So we're not a technology that, like a SaaS business, that just provide a technology or some APIs and that's it, and that's all we do. Majority of our business revenue is service driven. So we have retainers with all of our clients, and all of our developers are assigned onto projects and accounts. So that's where that service kind of drives from, really. So the platform itself, I guess, stacks up against a Shopify Plus kind of small to mid-tier kind of space. We have about 50 clients. Some of them have multiple domains, so we have like probably about 100 domains. The clients are spread across loads of different verticals. So fashion is probably our biggest vertical, probably about 70% of fashion. And the other 30% are sports. That's quite big for us. Sports equipment, jewelry, construction, toys. There's quite a few different verticals. It's quite fun.
I think like when we spoke to other agencies and whatnot, and like other platforms in the past, they have like the specialism where they'll be like, we only deal in like sustainable fashion or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when we try and explain ourselves to people, it's like, we have people in assault rifles in America, and over here we have children's toys, and then over there we have vaping, and it's like, it's like you said earlier, no one day is the same.
No.
And I think that's what keeps it interesting, is having that spread of clients where there's different problems everywhere, and understanding it and developing it.
100%.
So clients, probably about 50 odd. We have a really good retention rate. Once a client comes on board, they will never leave, really. That's mostly because we become like a proper extension to their team. So again, a lot of technologies are almost at an arm's length. We're a third party, but we're kind of just a bolt-on, really. But we completely embed ourselves within all of our clients, so we see them as often as possible. Some clients were there, pretty much every day at their office. We have a rep there at their office every day. Yeah. So we have someone from Remarkable at their client office every day, pretty much. That's how embedded we are. It's very much a proper partnership. Some clients less so, some of our smaller clients we see maybe monthly or something, or bi-monthly. But I guess that's the business.
It's not a bad idea, that, actually. Tim, do you want to go and spend all day every day with Brad?
Sounds like a plan for me. I don't know if he'll be too happy based on what you said already, but yeah.
Come see my kitchen.
Do like the kitchen. All about Brad's kitchen. There you go. Not that he knows. I've been in.
No,
Yeah,
bit weird.
There you go.
But, yeah, so yeah, that's clients. The technology, a little bit on that, I guess, is we really stand ourselves apart from other kind of platforms.
Yeah.
We're really, really different in a lot of ways. So the first one is we're obviously a technology, but also the agency, which means that you don't have really like a blame game. You don't have like the agency saying, "Oh, the platform is this cause," and you don't have the platform saying, "Oh, your agency have just implemented it bad." You know, we're the same people, so we can't really blame ourselves. So
just picturing that Spider-Man meme in my head there, you know, with
yeah. So yeah, that's really good. There's not many platforms with that approach, doing it at the scale that we are and with the effectiveness that we do. The other kind of good stuff is because we're kind of the owners of the technology, like you guys, we can tailor it and tweak it in any shape or form. So that's really good because our approach is very kind of unique to every client. So although we have like a core platform, every client kind of takes their own version of it and kind of then takes it in their own direction. So although there are core services that connect everyone together, if a client wants a particular function or feature or something changing, that can be done. We'd never say no, ever, really. That's not really what we do. When we really pride ourselves on that, we're like try to be as customizable, as kind of fully tailored as we can to every single client. So yeah,
I find that interesting as well because we talk about this quite a bit, don't we, in terms of like the bespoke work and that side of element where you look at a client's website where, for example, they're on a bespoke platform. I don't know, the one I was looking at before, they did like needle and thread stuff, so everything was like, you were looking at, you could buy a thread from like a tiny little spool through to like something a small family could live in. And it was like that customized element of actually having everything you could need to then customize the order from having the different lengths to whatever and developing that is so few and far between that people might not need it. So you wouldn't build it as a general thing into the platform, but having the option there to do that for said customer, it's probably a big win, isn't it?
Yeah. If you look at a lot of Shopify sites, for example, it's cookie cutter. They're all the same. You know, they're all the same. Apart from perhaps some theme changes, a bit of styling changes. The layout's the same. You know, most things are the same. It's off the shelf. It's the same. You look at a lot of our sites; they are very different. You know, and that's again something our clients really like is although we are, we're able to get off the ground really quickly. We can launch a site really quickly, a lot faster than all other platforms. But
what sort of timelines? I've come closer to the microphone for this one.
Well, Dave.
Timeline wise, sort of what do you sort of work off launch time wise?
If it's super simple, if it's a new client, brand new client, super simple, coming from Magento, I would say 3 or 4 months.
That's not bad.
Which is pretty good. If they're an existing client and they just want to launch a new storefront, so Woolworths recently bought Scotts & Co, or if Yours Clothing recently bought loads of brands actually. But if they wanted to relaunch one of those under their architecture, we can spin up a new site in like 2 weeks.
Wow, that is quick.
It's rapid, isn't it?
Super quick.
Yeah.
It's just, it is comparable with other more SaaS solutions, but with ours, because it is so customizable and tailored, it's really strong.
I think that's the interesting point as well, because like people nowadays, you can see somebody moving from, like you mentioned in your old role, being on like a Demandware Salesforce sort of led thing, which would take like years maybe to get up and running.
2 or
and
3 years.
The maintenance is like on it is like extensive as well.
Huge, yeah.
And when somebody comes along and says, "Oh, we can spin you another one in 2 weeks," it probably blows most people's tops here at that level. To be honest with you.
Yeah. No, I'd probably agree with that. Like some of the clients that I've worked with previously, they've looked at multiple different platforms, and just the sheer length of time that's required from like a Salesforce build. It's not. We're not saying that for any second that a Salesforce taking a long time is a bad thing. There's so many different things that they have to take into consideration when launching stuff because of the multiple different elements. Like you say, you've got quite a malleable product, but it's quite where all of the
It's
working
ours,
elements,
you know?
it's yours.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't have to go away and wait for somebody to respond to you to let you know that a certain element works in a certain way, and if it could be changed to do something else. So, the timelines are always something that, because we hear it all the time with regards to sort of clients re-platforming, saying, "Oh well, our new site should be live in about 3 months," and then you speak to them in 3 months and say, "Yeah, well, we've got a bit of a delay
We're
because
just
of
making
this."
a start,
But I think a lot of that comes down to sort of the fact-finding mission at the start as well.
But yeah, that's something we're really good at. We do a big discovery piece on every client, and with discovery, the way we work it is if a client comes to us and does a discovery, but then doesn't want to go ahead, basically, we only charge for the discovery. If they then do a discovery and say, "Yeah, we want to go ahead," we don't charge for the discovery piece of work that we've done.
Yeah.
So we get to learn so much through a discovery, and it really kind of speeds up our processes on our side, and it helps the client to learn a lot about what they want as well.
Yeah.
Because we get an RFP that's probably 20 pages. It has maybe 200 kind of requests or features or elements in it that we need to kind of respond to, and a lot of times, a lot of that's quite vague or kind of quite high in the sky, and it's like this is nice to have. It's not really a kind of a true requirement,
Yeah.
So when we go through our discovery piece, we learn a lot about what's really needed, and also we get to kind of feed into that a lot. So we act as, in a very kind of consultative way, we'll question, actually, you've got this third party, or you don't have a third party. Have you thought about Salesfire, for example, or have you thought about product recs, what you're doing about that? So we help them, we guide them in a way to kind of in a strategic approach where they want to get to. So doing that discovery work up front helps in a big way. And a lot of I've heard a few stories where a lot of agencies will do a big discovery, and their initial kind of ballpark estimate will then be tripled after a discovery piece because they've learned so much or it's changed so much. But with us, we're pretty good at estimating and working out what something is going to be from a cost perspective.
I think that's the key part as well. Isn't it? Like, as you say, a re-platform, the second you say that to any retailer, they go, no, you're all right.
Yeah.
But over time, if you can actually learn what you need, and you're not just... The one that always bothers me is when we'll deal with a fashion retailer and they'll be like, "Oh, ASOS have this thing where there's a model walking towards you and you can see the product 360 and you can do all this." And you're like, that's great for them, but you have like 5 lines of clothing and you're not that big. You probably don't need this model thing. And like, yeah, but we need it because they've got it. And it's like, don't look at this as a comparison. Like, look at other ways of doing things. And like you say, that discovery will eliminate half of that, I imagine. It does.
And a lot of people assume their customers are someone they're not.
Yeah.
So they'll look at ASOS, for example, and they say that function's really cool and I really like it and engage with it. But that person, their e-commerce manager, isn't who their customer is.
Yeah.
You know, if you're targeting a different demographic, you need to learn what their behavior is and what they actually engage with.
Yeah.
And don't build to you, build to them. So again, that's a good point because we learn a lot about. We'll implement a feature and function, track to see how well it's used. For example, quick add to bag on a PLP. How many people are just quickly adding to bag on a PLP? For some clients, loads.
Yeah.
For other clients, none of their customers are doing that. They're all going to a PDP and then properly looking at UGC and looking at content. And then adding to bag. It's different behaviours, isn't it?
100%. I think the big sort of comparison I give is you mentioned a couple of your clients there, like Yours Clothing and whatnot. And there's one that I've always kind of admired of yours, which was Roman, for the way that the site is delivered and the way that it works. Like, for being realistic, I know that my family members are quite big Roman shoppers.
Yep.
So my auntie and my mum were, and they were always on there, like shopping away, like looking at it. And they'd always praise the website for what it actually delivers.
Yeah.
So I think, for example, if my girlfriend was to look at it, she'd probably look at it from a different standpoint because she's used to ASOS and whatnot. But that demographic they're going for, it's bang on the money.
Yeah. It's good to hear.
There you go. Don't worry about it.
That's a nice praise, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah, we upgraded Roman about 6 months ago, and they're doing really well.
It's always an impressive one as well. Like, I think there's one in Middlesbrough Town Centre, isn't there?
A Roman store.
I think so, yeah. And you look around and you go, like, I think again that sort of feeds into the client list that you mentioned there, where you've got this really like, I'm not going to say it's like a who's who, but it is like you look around a town centre and you'll recognise most of them.
There's a East Midlands designer outlet store near our office, and there's a row, literally one row of these shops, and it's like Roman, Jeff Banks, Ben Sherman, Suit Direct, Yours Clothing, and it's literally like there's a bank of it's like eight shops. It's like we've gone down and gone, we'll have those, and then we'll have those. It's a bit weird actually, but we're definitely attractive to certain types of retailers, especially ones with a store presence as well. Not only, we don't only have clients with that, but I'd say half of our clients are omnichannel and have quite a heavy store presence, offline presence.
Yeah,
I think that was one of the big things we were talking about as well, wasn't it? Like that difference where you look at a Shopify or someone who's more of a pure player versus
where they're very, very heavily weighted towards online. They may have one store. I know within fashion you have to have certain brands, you have to have bricks and mortar to stock a brand, but people will open a bricks and mortar store solely to sell it online. So it's knowing how you guys work with clients that are very bricks and mortar driven, as well as online retailers. Just interested to see what that's like and how things have changed. I'm going to say the C word here. How much things have changed after sort of like the post-COVID stuff, where since all stores got closed down, so they had to pivot directly to only online, and then looking at ways of working it back.
Yep. So we had a client get in touch about 6 months before COVID and said, we have like a really old site. It's not an e-commerce. We have some products listed, but it's just like an inquiry only site. We did a big piece of discovery. This is a jewelry site. And then COVID happened and we were kind of mid-build, really. Probably another 6 months left on the build. It was quite a chunky piece of work. And they said, all of our showrooms are shut and we have no money come to the business. All of our staff are off. We need the website now, basically. So we threw like every man and his dog at the project and got it live in probably about 2 months, So we really so that was about June-ish time we managed to get that live for. And for them, I think that hugely helped their business. Not saved perhaps, but definitely protected them because they still had a way of generating money and generating inquiries. Whilst, shit were hitting the fan.
It's true. And it was that sort of dark element as well. Like we mentioned another one that we have in common, Moss. For example, big part of their business is obviously suit rental for wedding and whatnot. There's no weddings during COVID.
It's true. And that's why they pivoted towards more of a casual, approach. They're still, a formal wear retail they're known as, but they definitely have different categories that they've gone into. Moss are really fun because we have a global view of stock across all stores, like other clients actually, not just them guys. And a lot of our clients will kind of look at stock and work out how to move inventory around. So if they see a particular line selling well in a certain region or in a particular store, they will then pull out those products from other regions, other stores, and send them to that store. So it's kind of sending stock where it's needed. And also delivering from store. So that kind of endless aisle approach where why send, if you're buying a new jacket, why send that from a warehouse down in London if there's one in Teesside? If there's a shop in Teesside, get the shop to send it straight to you because it's quicker and it's cheaper and from a sustainability point of view, much more attractive. So there's that kind of element as well, which is really powerful. As technology, we kind of try and give retailers these tools out of the box. So if they're wanting to have that type of approach with stores and managing stock globally, or if they're wanting to see a customer record of someone who buys in store, attaching that store order to their customer account. So then I can go on, if I'm a Moss customer, I make a purchase in store, I then go at home and log on to my Moss account on my phone. I can see that order in my account.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Rather than, like that. So it's kind of tying that customer behavior together, not just online, but in store as well. Moss are really cool because they have the hire proposition. So if you're hiring like for a wedding or for like a race day and there's like a group of you hiring, there's a really nice like piece of functionality where you can go into store and get fitted. You then go online and all your fit details are in your account online, and then you can then find the products online which are which you like. Get them ordered online, and you can have multiple kind of logins to your account. So then us three could go in and see our preferences and choose what we like, and then you each book your own appointment to go and get it fitted. So it's a very omnichannel, offline and online, a seamless journey.
Are you saying that we're going to a race day together now?
If you're up for it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
There you go, job done.
Going to spend some silly money.
Oh, silly. Oh, all the horsies. All the horsies.
I suppose on that then, do you think you've had to change what you do within your role quite heavily from almost the early days of e-com side of things to now looking at clients from a bricks and clicks perspective? So you had to learn a little bit more about the offline side of things. I think you touched on it in a previous role, but having to learn it with other retailers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a little bit, I'd say. I definitely am more conscious of kind of wider impact, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're a technology company, so my focus will always be on the tech, whether that be for an online web store or whether that's for a offline, bricks and mortar store. Doesn't really matter to me. It's the same customer. True. So I'm just trying to help our clients to just attract more customers and improve conversion rate. So I would agree. I'd probably try and spend a little bit more time offline as well as online now compared to what I did in the past.
I think as well, just looking at it as well, as I mentioned earlier, you both shared that sort of retailer side experience and then working also at agency side. The biggest part for me, like you mentioned there, is learning how to work with an agency successfully and understand how you can push them, as you put it. What would you say I suppose the biggest pivot is from working retailer side to agency side?
That's fun. That's a good question.
There you go. Thank you very much.
That's very good.
I'm here all week.
Yeah.
That's you done now. No more good questions.
Okay, I would say being client side is really fun, but also very kind of 9 to 5. At least my experience. You go into work, you work intensively, meeting after meeting after meeting, then you go home and you forget about it. In comparison to agency life or technology world is where you're always thinking constantly. Outside of work, at home or over a weekend, or, you're on holiday, you're always thinking about, oh, that's a cool POS. I wonder what technology that is. Or you're always looking around for strategies or ideas. So it's a bit more full on, I would say, in a way. But also you kind of, you have to be a bit more sensitive, I think, with how you talk to clients and how you talk to people when you're agency, because you don't want to, we're a service business, technically speaking, so we have to keep our clients happy as customers. So we, it's harder for different reasons, I would say.
You'd be right as well, because I've started noticing myself doing this, and it's really, really sad, so I'm going to apologise now. When you go to a shop and you look at the card reader, I'll look at who supplies the card reader, and I'll be like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, same.
Dave Craigs, there you go.
Yeah, it's weird.
We're just sad little men, there you go.
No, we are, aren't we? Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
I think the big one as well is I'll walk into somewhere and it'll be like, oh, we do Klarna install it. I think Halfords is one. And I'll be like, oh. When that first started happening, I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
It shows the way that our world bleeds into the real world. Dave wants off this pronto, by the way.
It made me really awkward. So I suppose looking at that then, looking forward, is like, where do we see that there potentially be opportunities, be it e-commerce? When we walk around sort of Middlesbrough in general, like this area, there's a lot of empty buildings at the minute. I mean, we've got a lot of restaurants and things opening, so it's better for more entertainment side of things, which is a positive. But there's a lot of old stores that are now empty. So just looking at where the opportunities are going to lie. Do you see there being, without giving away all of your hidden gems, like what the opportunities potentially would be?
Yeah, I mean, the reason that these stores are closed or empty is because retailers are struggling, right? and I think that's a general trend. This year has started really poorly for most retailers. Most markets are looking really kind of glum for this year. I don't think there are going to be many verticals that are going to do particularly well over the next 12 months. There might be some that do okay, but generally speaking, IMRG put out some data saying about the market and where consumers are spending money and where they're not actually. So there's a reason these stores are closed, and it's because consumers are more conservative about spending.
Yeah.
So I guess retailers need to take market share. That's what that's ultimately what these people need to do. It's trying to take more customers. So it's customer acquisition should be the main strategy for every retailer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Less focus on retention, more focus on acquiring new customers. That's more of a kind of strategic thing. From a kind of tactical point of view, I would say retailers should be looking at costs really closely.
Yeah.
Because profit is everything. Cash is king. So looking at where you're spending money. With us, we have a really kind of different commercial model. A lot of platforms charge on GMV.
Yeah.
So they'll take a commission of every sale.
Yeah.
Which is philosophy we don't agree with at all. We don't agree that a retailer should be giving away margin, really.
No.
So our approach is fixed fee. It's license. It's a monthly license based on traffic, not sales.
Yep.
So it's the retailer's job to run promotions and run campaigns to get conversion rate up. We see our job as making sure the platform is stable and reliable and is the technology is efficient. So we see the fairest model in charging based on traffic, and it's really kind of fair as well. Our commercial model. So that's one of the big reasons that retailers come to us actually, is because they look at enterprise technology and they look at the commercials around it and go, actually, we're going to be spending a lot of money with these more enterprise grade platforms. But our model is definitely a little bit more sensible and attractive. So cost is definitely a big thing.
I will say it's always been one of those things where we talked about it before, didn't we? Where it's almost like a tax on doing well. So like you improve your business, you get more traffic to the site, you make more sales, everything's running better.
And we don't do anything for that. The retailers are working so hard, yet we're doing very little to influence that. Yet they have to pay us more money. Nah, I don't agree with that.
It's a mad one. But again, when you're talking about people, like Dave's example of Middlesbrough Town Centre is absolutely prime, because you'll go around and there was a massive Debenhams, there was House of Fraser, and there's like all on one little square. It's like Mike Ashley Square basically. So it was like Debenhams, House of Fraser, Flannels, Sports Direct, and like a Topshop sort of led thing.
Yeah.
They're all big brands that have left the town centre, but still some of them operate online under the banners and whatnot. One of the things I'd heard proposed before was using these almost like, for example, take the Debenhams, which has an online presence, and using that as almost like a mini warehouse centre.
Yeah.
So like you're saying there for Moss, using it as like a mini distro, so you just ping orders out to the local area from there.
Yep.
Now for me that makes logical sense, and it also feeds into the sustainability element. But is that something where we could see the town centres fall off quite rapidly, and we encourage things like shopping parks, like you're saying, with all your clients in one row, but then there's still that usability for a town centre? It's not just derelict almost.
I think we need to get better use, don't we, of these units. Whether it be that, which has its use, or whether it be more of an IKEA approach, which is, and Dyson do this really well, which is basically showrooms, where they do have stock, but that's not the reason for them. They're there for the customer experience, because we're never going to stop consumers going into town centres.
No.
It'll reduce, of course it will, but they won't ever be completely empty. These town centres, people are still going to go to there. So there's still an opportunity for retailers to be at these locations if they can get rent at a good price and if they can get rates in a good way. So as long as they're using them in the best way, and for some brands that is more of an experience led. So with IKEA, you go in, you get to look at, get inspiration basically. You look at rooms, you look at kind of how products sit together and look together. That's why you're there. You're not going to go in and buy a sofa on the spot.
No.
You can't do because there's no stock. So, but then, like you said, the flip of that is that some brands will prefer to use them as like distribution centers. So they'll just be full of stock, and they'll just have staff running around scanning stuff.
Like an Argos approach.
Yeah. A lot of retailers are doing that.
Yeah,
you know, Shoe are doing that. You know, Shoe have been doing that for the past few years with that approach.
I think there's going to be. I think you probably will see more of that. I dare say where they have a smaller presence and it's a collection point.
Yeah.
And your collection area within the store.
Yeah.
Will have a queuing system that's not naming names of retailers here, but along the collection aisle there'll be upsells, and when you get to the till, you've picked up 5 or 6 different things from this upsell area, as you would do as you were going through one of those mazy checkouts. So you've spent an additional £10-15 just on upsells through that area, as opposed to what you'd already bought online. I think that's probably where there might be benefits for.
Dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's a cool concept though, because if there's a decent sized space, why not share it? If you can find similar aligned but not competitors. So like the whole Argos, you know, with Sainsbury's and Lloyd's Pharmacy, you know, it's the same concept. It's having a multi brands in one unit. Why take up the full place if you can share the cost 3 ways, you know, and just have these, you know, other retailers in the same area as you. So
there we go. We've sold town centres.
We've done it.
So we're going to follow on nicely onto this, Brad.
Yeah.
Upcoming plans. What's next for Remarkable this year?
We're going tech heavy. We're spending a lot of money on tech.
There you go.
Or investment in our development, definitely. So yeah, functionality wise, I've got a list here of stuff that we're doing. Look, so Amazon Dynamic DB is like a NoSQL approach to reporting. So we're trying to revamp everything that we've spent the last 25 years building. So in the world of you know, moving away from monolithic platforms in the way of becoming more microservice approach, we're spending a lot of money developing our APIs to be a lot more consumable. We want clients to be able to build their own sites using our APIs rather than relying solely on our developers. So we've got a few clients recently who've come on board and have their own developers. So we don't want to make our retailers fire their developers. So we've said, here's our platform. Here is our suite of APIs. Use them to send product to us, retrieve orders, put customers in, take customers out, do whatever you need to. So it's a bit more of an API focused approach as a technology. So that's definitely a theme for us, and we're trying to kind of develop that further. Developing with third parties as well. You know, we are pretty well rounded as a platform, but you know, we're more than happy for a client to use a third party. So a lot of our clients use Salesfire for search or for overlays or whatever it is they want to use. And we're completely agnostic. You know, we have clients, I'd say only half of our clients use our site search. The rest use Salesfire or Argolia or whatever it is. We're quite fine with that.
Other site searches are available.
Yeah. Disclaimer.
I know you're not just site search, but you know, similar stuff. You know, the overlay piece or the chat piece that you're doing. So we're trying to be, you know, as open as we can do and let clients choose what they want to use and what they don't want to. And I think we're going into a world where we'll start to get prospects saying we have a Shopify site, but we hate our checkout. Can we use the Remarkable checkout? Or we have a Magento back end. We just need a new front end for it. So can you provide us a front end? So I think we're going to more of a composable approach.
Yeah.
Which, you know, plays into, you know, the parts of you guys because you're marketing technology, you know, so that'll work well for you guys. But yeah,
I will say as well, composable is one of those words where retailers, it's almost like you remember when like AI and stuff like that came around, PWA, and people were like, I must have PWA. They didn't fully know what it was. They were just like, oh, I must have it because it's the hot thing. But composable has elements that are super useful. I think there's still consumers that need, not consumers, retailers that need education on what it can actually do for them. And powering it further. I think, have you got people doing composable at present, or is that along the way?
It's coming. Yeah. I mean, we've always been modular in a way. You know, we're happy to swap out search with you. We're happy to swap out merchandising with whoever. There are core elements of our platform that, you know, don't really make sense to swap out. So we've always been composable in the loosest sense. But I think we're just going into an age where retailers are becoming more technically savvy, and we're starting to see retailers take on technologists in-house, you know, the CTO role and the kind of more aware of technology and capabilities that retailers are getting. I think that means that they're going to be looking for specific things rather than just a website in a box. So yeah, it's exciting, and I think, you know, our world is going to be changing a lot over the next few years.
We've covered off everything, really. I suppose it's probably the perfect time to sort of call it. I know, Brad, we're looking at trying to get you in for another podcast later on in the year, so we'll be interested to see how this sort of
exclusive.
Yeah, another one. See how things have panned out.
Cool.
And we'll go from there. Yeah.
I think so. Thank you very much for coming
Thanks
down.
for coming on.
No problem at all. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.